He had $3 billion on Monday. By Friday, it was gone. Monday, he had $3 billion, a private jet on standby, a penthouse with a view of 3 cities, a name that made bankers nervous. By Friday, he had nothing, not a rough quarter, not a slight dip. Nothing, zero, a negative number so large it looked like a phone number. His name was Dominic Reeves, and 4 days before the most public collapse in Wall Street history, he laughed at the journalist who warned him it was coming. Laughed, out loud on camera. That clip has 47 million views now, you've probably seen it. But here's what you didn't see. What happened inside those 4 days? The 3 a.m. calls, the one person who told him the truth, and the moment he chose not to listen. Stay right here because this story isn't about money, it's about the price of arrogance and who always ends up paying it. Dominic Reeves did not come from money. He came from Akron, Ohio, a two-parent household with one working parent and one disappearing one. His father left when Dominic was 9. Left a note on the kitchen counter, a half-eaten box of cereal, and one lesson Dominic spent 30 years trying to unlearn. People leave, build something they can't take with them. By 16, he was flipping resold sneakers online. By 19, he ran a dropshipping operation out of his dorm room that made more money than his professors. He dropped out at 20, his mother cried, he promised her a house. 3 years later, he handed her the keys. That part of the story, the Akron kid who made it, that part was real. That part of Dominic Reeves was genuinely admirable. The rest of it, that's where things get complicated. At 26, Dominic founded RevStack, a fintech platform that processed micropayments for small businesses. Not glamorous, not a headline idea, but it worked. By 30, RevStack had 12 million users. By 33, 94 million. Fortune magazine called him the fintech king nobody saw coming. He put the cover on his office wall, then put 4 more next to it. He was good at this, genuinely, undeniably good. He hired smart people, he moved fast, he read markets the way most people read text messages, constantly, compulsively, always a step ahead. But there was one habit his colleagues noticed early, one pattern that showed up in every meeting, every pitch, every strategy session. Dominic Reeves did not like being told no. Not a tantrum, not a raised voice, just a quiet repositioning of his eyes like a camera slowly refocusing, and then he'd say, "Thank you for the input, here what we're actually going to do." For years, the market rewarded him for it, until the one time it didn't. In January of that year, Dominic made the biggest move of his career. RevStack would acquire 3 competitors simultaneously. A $2.1 billion play funded by leveraged debt. His CFO, Paula Osai, ran the numbers twice, then a third time. She walked into his office and placed a single sheet of paper on his desk. "Dom," she said, "if rates move 2 points in the wrong direction, we're exposed. I need you to see this." He picked up the paper, he looked at it, he set it back down. "Rates aren't moving," he said. "I've talked to people." "What people?" she asked. "My people," he said. Paula had worked with Dominic for 6 years. She knew what that meant. It meant this conversation is over. She saved a copy of that paper, time-stamped, emailed to herself. Later, when reporters asked her about it, she said only, "I did what I could." 3 months later, rates moved, not 2 points, 3.5. Monday morning, 6:47 a.m. Dominic's phone rang, unknown number. He declined it. It rang again, he declined it again. Third time he picked up. On the other end was a contact inside a major institutional fund. Someone who had no business telling him what he was about to say, and he said it anyway. "You're pulling out, Dom, all of them, by Wednesday." Dominic sat with that for 11 seconds. His assistant counted because she was watching his face from across the room. 11 seconds. Then he said, "Let them, we're solid." He hung up, he asked for his coffee, he went to his 8 a.m. meeting. The 8 a.m. meeting was about the redesign of the app icon. He spent 40 minutes on it, 40 minutes on an icon, while the house was starting to burn. Tuesday afternoon, Dominic sat down with a financial reporter named Camille Torres. Sharp, patient, the kind of journalist who asks the same question 4 different ways until she gets a real answer. She had done her homework. "Mr. Reeves," she said, "there are reports that institutional investors are reducing their positions in RevStack. Can you speak to that?" Dominic leaned back in his chair, and he smiled. "Camille," he said her name like a teacher correcting a student. Every quarter funds rebalance. That's not news, that's Tuesday. She didn't smile back. This isn't rebalancing. Sources inside two of the largest holders say. I'm going to stop you there, he said. Your sources are wrong or they're lying to you. One of the two. He laughed, a real laugh, not performed. He genuinely found it funny. That laugh, 4 seconds of audio, became the most replayed clip of the entire year. By Wednesday morning, he would not be laughing. 9:31 a.m. Wednesday, 1 minute after markets opened. RevStack dropped 14% in 6 minutes. Dominic was in the elevator when his phone started going off. By the time the doors opened on the 38th floor, 11 missed calls. Paula Ose, I was standing in the hallway. She didn't say anything. She just handed him her tablet. He looked at the screen, he looked at her, he looked at the screen again. How bad, he asked. It depends on the next 4 hours, she said. How bad if the next 4 hours go wrong? He paused. That pause was its own answer. We lose the acquisition funding, she said. Counterparties call the debt, and then she stopped. And then he pushed. And then we're in restructuring by Friday. The hallway was completely quiet. An assistant 3 desks away pretended to be very focused on her screen. Dominic straightened his jacket. Get me the board, he said. 1 hour and get me legal. He walked into his office. He closed the door. His assistant said later she didn't hear anything for 7 minutes. Not a call, not a keyboard, nothing. Just silence. By Thursday night, one option remained. A sovereign wealth fund was willing to inject $800 million in exchange for a 34% stake and 2 board seats. It would save RevStack. It would save the jobs of 4,300 employees. It would also mean Dominic Reeves was no longer the majority decision-maker in the company he had built from a dorm room. Paula wanted him to take the deal. Legal wanted him to take the deal. 3 board members flew in overnight to tell him to take the deal. He sat with the term sheet for 4 hours, alone. At 2:17 a.m. he called Paula. What if I restructure the debt myself, he said, buy more time. She had been awake waiting for this call. Dom, she said, there's no time left to buy. Silence. I built this, he said, quietly, not angry, just a fact. I know you did, she said. I can't hand it to someone else. Then you'll lose it entirely, she said, and that's a different thing. He hung up. At 2:31 a.m. he sent one email. Subject line, I'll handle it my way. Nobody on the thread knew what that meant. By Friday morning they would. Friday, 7:14 a.m. The news broke before markets even opened. Dominic had not taken the deal. Instead, in what financial journalists would spend the next 6 months trying to fully explain, he had attempted a last-minute leveraged buyback of his own shares using personal assets as collateral. Bold, creative, exactly the kind of move that, if it worked, everyone would call genius. It did not work. By 9 a.m., 3 counterparties called their debt simultaneously. RevStack entered emergency administration at 10:17 a.m. At open, the stock dropped 67% in 11 minutes. Dominic's personal net worth, $3.1 billion on Monday morning, was, by Friday afternoon, effectively zero. Negative once the collateral obligations cleared. He was broke at 38 years old in 11 minutes. At 2 p.m. on Friday, Dominic walked through the RevStack lobby for the last time. He had a box, not a big one, just some things from his desk. The lobby was quiet. A few employees were still there, some on phones, some just standing. His name was still on the wall, big letters, brushed steel. A young analyst stopped him, 23 years old, spring hire, looking like he was trying to figure out what to say. What he finally said was, "What do we do now?" Dominic looked at him. "Find the next thing," he said, "and listen to your CFO." He walked out through the glass doors into a gray Friday afternoon. No car waiting. He sold the lease back on Tuesday as part of the collateral package. He stood on the sidewalk for a moment, box in hand, and then he started walking. A photographer got the shot. No dramatic pose, no entourage, just a man in a good suit carrying a cardboard box walking down a regular street. It ran on the front page of 3 financial papers. It ran on social media for 2 weeks straight. But it wasn't the end of his story, not even close. 6 months after the collapse, Dominic gave one interview, just one. He chose a podcast over a TV network, a 1-hour conversation instead of a 4-minute soundbite. He looked different, not broken, just quieter, like something loud inside him had finally been turned down. Host asked, "What was the moment you knew it was over?" Dominic thought about it, he didn't rush. "When Paula handed me that paper in January," he said. "I knew then, I just decided that being right was more important than being safe. That's on me." "Do you regret it?" "I regret what it cost other people," he said. "The employees, the early investors who believed in us, Paula, who was right about everything and stayed anyway." A pause. "I don't regret trying," he said. "I regret the arrogance that made me incapable of adjusting when I should have." He didn't disappear, he started over, not a $3 billion venture, a consulting firm, 5 people. He called Paula Osei first. She answered. "I have conditions," she said. "Name them," he said. Condition 1, equal veto power on all major financial decisions. Condition 2, no move without a full stress test. Condition 3, you actually listen this time, not perform listening, actually listen. He agreed to all 3, in writing. The firm turned profitable in month 9, small, steady, real. When a reporter asked if he'd try to get back to $3 billion, he shrugged. "Maybe," he said, "but that's not the first question anymore." "What is?" the reporter asked. "Is it built right this time?" Here's what Dominic Reeves's story is actually about. Not money, not markets, not some financial strategy you'll never use. It's about a moment every single person hits, billionaire or not. The moment someone who loves you, respects you, or works alongside you looks you in the eye and says, "This is the wrong direction. I need you to hear me." And the choice you make in that moment, not a dramatic choice, not a movie choice, the quiet one, the one you make in 11 seconds while someone counts silently from across the room. Dominic had the skill, he had the work ethic, he had the instincts. What he didn't have, not yet, was the ability to let someone else be right. That cost him everything. And the uncomfortable truth, the one worth sitting with, is that most of us are more like Dominic than we want to admit. We smile at feedback, we say good point, we nod at the data. And then we do exactly what we were going to do anyway. The question isn't whether you've ever been Dominic. The question is, who's standing in your hallway right now, holding a piece of paper? And are you actually reading it?